next file you want to open up is this tools.ai. I have gone in and put a black outline around all of the tools that we're going to talk about in this part 1 video. So the selection tool, rectangle, artboard, hand tool. We're going to talk about this fill color and stroke color swap and how we use those. Our direct selection, zoom, and our toggle fill and stroke. So the first tool we're actually going to talk about is this artboard tool. So this is one of my favorite parts of Illustrator, this ability to have multiple artboards in one document. So the way that you turn that tool on is either Shift O in your keyboard, or you can come over here to the left where this artboard tool is, and you click on that. So automatically it's going to show us the one artboard that's active. Then we can come over here to the right and we can click and hold and drag and draw ourselves a second artboard. So that's going to be where we do kind of all of our demo files today. So once you have clicked and drawn your artboard, then you can go back to this, what I call the black arrow tool or the selection tool, and click, and now both of your artboards are kind of finalized. All right, so the next tool that we're going to go over is rectangle. So again, you can either access that by coming over here to your tools. If your tools aren't out for some reason, you can go up here to Window, Workspace, and activate Essentials Classic. And that should automatically show your toolbar. If for some reason it doesn't, you can also come down to here and do Windows, Toolbar, and then show your toolbar from there. Okay, so rectangle tool is the next one we're going to go. You can either click on it or you can hit B on your keyboard. B actually hit paintbrush tool. Maybe it toggles back and forth. Okay, so rectangle tool is the one that you want to go to next. And same as how we did that artboard tool, we're going to click, hold, and drag. And we are going to draw a rectangle. This fill color and stroke color are a really important part of Illustrator to understand. So right now, based on me being able to see my active toolbar, I can see that I have no fill and a black stroke. When my rectangle is selected and I go in here and click to flip those, now I can see that I have an object that has a black fill and no stroke. So basically, you can think of it as stroke is the outline of the object, and fill is what that object is all kind of filled in on. Also up here at the top, you should have an option to modify the stroke. So right now it's set to 1 point. I can hit that up if I want, say, I'll go all the way to 18 points. And now that is super filled in. These are some new functionalities of Illustrator, this ability to click and hold and drag in a corner. So these are a way to activate your edges, to do rounded corners if you want. It's also completely fluid. You can at any point just click and drag back out and it becomes a square again. So it's kind of nice to have that ability to round your edges. So again, I can at any time, if I say, oh, actually I want to do a black fill and no stroke, I can swap that here with my toggle fill and stroke key, this kind of arrow tool. Say that I want my object to be filled in red. I can double click this fill and then I can come over here all the way up to red and hit OK. And now my object has a red fill and a black stroke. Say I want to make that stroke bigger, I can come up here to the top where it says stroke and then hit my up arrow until I have it the way that I want it to look. Okay, so selection tool versus direct selection tool. So what I like to call these is like black arrow tool versus white arrow tool. So you really use the black arrow tool when you want to move an object all the way around. You use the white arrow tool when you want to move individual points around. So say if I want to come in here and just grab this one point and move it, something like that. So again, that is the option that you have here. Do I want to move the entire object around? Or do I want to move one vector point within that object? That mode that I just went in where it kind of made everything white is called isolation mode, which is basically like you're clicking into an object. So that can trip people up a little bit when they're getting started. The way that you can exit out of that mode is just with your black arrow tool and double clicking into the artboard. It will let you exit out of that. All right, so we've gone over selection tool, rectangle, artboard. Hand tool is incredibly helpful when you're getting started. That is a way to click, hold, and drag so that you can move around your artboards. Especially if you have, say, like a bunch of artboards over here to the right, something like that. The hand tool is a really fast way to move around your document. The zoom tool is also incredibly helpful. So if you say I want to zoom in and look at one of these icons more close up, I can click when it is a plus sign. That's going to zoom me in so I can see everything really close up. If you hold down on the option key, and you should see that that plus the magnifying glass rather than a plus sign in the middle, it turns to a minus sign. Now that means I can zoom out of my artboard, which again is incredibly helpful. These two you're going to use a lot just to be able to navigate around your board, hand tool and the zoom tool. And wow, we moved pretty fast through those. I think we talked about all of the objects that we were going to talk about in this tools part 1. So if you want to play around with any of these, highly recommended. You could even go in and add other artboards if you want, and maybe play with other geometric tools. So one of the ones that's really helpful that lives underneath this rectangle tool, if you this is true for a lot of the tools that we're going to talk about. If you click and hold them, all of the options that live nested underneath those are there. So say you want to draw a circle for this second artboard. You can click and hold and drag. This is another super helpful part of Illustrator. If you hold down on the shift key, it makes it a perfect circle. So if you're just to click and hold and drag and pull it out, you know, you can make all kinds of ovals, things like that. But if you actually hold down on the shift key, it becomes a perfect circle. So play around with some of those. Maybe I draw a polygon on top. You can use my black arrow tool to move that. Maybe I want to make this polygon filled with yellow. I can double click on that fill and come over here, find a yellow that I like, hit OK. Now that is on top of that.